Hi everyone, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? Ajibala Kemcho, Sub Keseho. So today I am discussing the transit of Sun through its own sign of Leo. Okay, as you guys all know, Sun is a very important planet. Okay, it basically represents who we think we are. Okay, or yeah, I guess you can say it like that. So this transit happens from August 17th to September 16th of 2022. Okay, around these dates. The exact time of day this starts varies kind of where you live in the world, okay? Now, there's a few important pieces to this that I'm going to mention right off the bat before I discuss each of these one by one, okay? First is Rahu in Aries throwing a fifth aspect on Sun. 2 is Mars in Taurus throwing a fourth aspect on Sun. 3 is the second half of this transit, Venus is with the Sun. And 4 is that, and this is something that most people probably don't find significant at all, okay? And it's the fact that Mercury just finished going through Leo right before Sun gets there, okay? In fact, right when Sun gets there, Mercury is at the tail end of Leo, like the last 5 degrees. But the most important factor is that Mercury had just gone through Leo, okay? Now, why would this be important? Mercury just gone through Leo. How would it affect Sun's transit when it goes through Leo? Well, think of it like this, right? If you're a parent and you go out of town and you come back and you can kind of sense that your son threw a party, okay, obviously it's going to affect you, right? Because your house is kind of where you do your work and all this kind of stuff. It's all now, why am I using the example of throw a party? Okay, because Mercury, it doesn't do too fond in Leo, okay? And actually in the Western system, Leo is actually the debilitation sign of Mercury, okay, which makes sense because Mercury in the Vedic system, it gets it gets debilitated in the 12th sign of Pisces, okay, and its favorite sign, Virgo, is where it's Motrikon sign and its exaltation sign. 12 from that is Leo, okay, so they just have a little different opinion over there. But Mercury doesn't do too fond in Leo, okay, especially more in the Western system, I guess you can say, and Sun actually is the most important planet in the Western system overall. Okay, so there's a big thing there, which I'll discuss at the end of this video, okay? Now, to start off, okay, what does in general Sun in Leo represent, okay? So Sun represents, I just said, who we think we are, kind of our identity, these kind of things, okay? Now, Leo obviously represents fulfillment, okay? Now, the Sun's own sign is Leo, right? Because identity, who we think we are, all this kind of stuff, it's always its main mission is, I guess you can say, to get fulfillment, okay? So in this sense, we could say at a general sense, this month and any time the Sun goes through Leo in general, who, like our identity and stuff, it's looking for a little bit more fulfillment, okay? And you can kind of see this because, around this time, is when school starts, here in the United States. So in that sense, like our identity is really looking for fulfillment, right? Like at the beginning of the school year, I mean, I'm giving you a little bit of a biased perspective because I'm a little bit younger, but your identity, it's kind of making new friends. It's looking for fulfillment as far as who we are. Okay, you might have gotten new clothes, new shoes. You might have just gotten a car. Okay, you might have been talking to someone over the summer, and now you're getting ready to tie the knot with them in the school year. Some stuff like this, okay? And even in general, outside of school, right? Because not all of us are in school. This time, it's a very time to search for fulfillment from a sense of our like who we think of we are, or our identity. Okay, so. And now, our identity and stuff like this, who we think we are, when it comes to spiritual stuff, it's a little bit not conventionally tied with spirituality, or I guess you can say it's even opposite of, from the conventional spiritual side of things. But we have to remember, spiritually we took this birth, and a big part of that is dealing with our identity, okay? And our identity getting some fulfillment, it's a part of the desires that we took here on this birth, okay? So this is a really great time to search for fulfillment as far as a sense of who we are, okay? Now, tying in a little bit piece by piece, the rest of it, but just real quick, some examples like your identity getting fulfillment. Let's just say, for example, like a workout routine, right? Exercising or getting more in shape. That's something that might fulfill you as far as who you think you are, right? You kind of want people to look at you as somebody who takes care of themselves. So that could be a little bit more fulfilling, okay? If you've been talking to someone, this is why here in the out west we have this term called cuffing season, okay? It always happens around this time because, forming a partnership, a relationship or that bond with someone is fulfilling for their identity, right? So that's something that could happen if you're talking to someone. This might be something that you might want to pursue. Stuff like this, getting your hair cut. Everyone always gets their hair cut. Getting some clothes, stuff like this. Okay, this is just fulfilling stuff for the identity. This is things we can do, right? Now, there's two things we need to watch out for right off the bat, okay? Rahu's throwing a fifth aspect on on Sun from Aries, and Mars is throwing a fourth aspect on Leo from Taurus, okay? And Mars does not do too well in Taurus, and Mars's fourth aspect is arguably the worst of its aspects because it gets debilitated in the fourth-sided Cancer, okay? Its fourth aspect is not a good aspect, okay? I'll discuss both of them right now. So Mars and Aries, Rahu and Aries, it represents what? Like that Rahu energy is always looking for new things, right? Trying to get you in trouble and stuff like this. So the fact that it aspects fifth to Sun basically means that it could tempt the identity to start new things and trick it into thinking that it's actually fulfilling it when it's not. Okay, that's the first part. Now, the second part of Mars is this. Mars does not do well in Taurus, right? It's the opposite sign of Scorpio. And I'm actually just remembering now, I'm going to make a video on Mars and Taurus, okay? But Mars, when it's in Taurus, Mars likes expansion, okay? It likes intuition, changes, things like this. It does not like stability, which Taurus represents, okay? So Mars, that Martian energy, it's feeling very controlled, like too restricted. And therefore, it's affecting your fulfillment, right? Because that Martian energy is not able to expand. And now you have that Rahu in Aries where it's really trying to expand. So those two together, your Mars feels frustrated. It feels locked in, affecting your fulfillment because it's throwing a fourth aspect on Leo. So you don't feel fulfilled because that Martian energy is too stable. And then your Rahu in Aries is saying, hey, let's try to do this and kind of trick the Sun into thinking that it's going to give me fulfillment. And that, see, Mars owns Aries, right? So when Mars in Aries, it does really good because that Martian energy, when it gets in contact with Aries, I guess you can say, that's really good. You can start like workout routines, you can push through challenges, get out of your comfort zone, all this kind of stuff. But when Rahu's in Aries, it's a completely different thing. It's using that expansive energy in a completely different way that's negative. And because Mars rules Aries and Mars is in Taurus, you gotta look at the bigger picture, okay? I'm always a big person about looking at the bigger picture. So that Mars is restricted and that Rahu is kind of trying to get in its place, influencing the Mars and influencing the Sun, and they're all kind of intertwined, I guess you can say. And the Rahu's trying to trick everybody, I guess you can say, into saying, especially the Sun, who's in Leo, tricking the Sun in Leo, saying, hey, you know what? This might give you fulfillment. I know you're looking for fulfillment, and I know Mars is not too happy, which is making you not happy because it's aspecting you. But hey, let's try this, and maybe this will give us happiness, okay? This is not going to give you happiness. And the way to counteract this is to be a little bit more aware, okay? So what do I mean by this? Don't get into some crazy, I guess you can say, relationship, or don't pursue the wrong person for the wrong reasons. Like, be very, very, very conscious of what you're doing. Okay, just be a little bit more conscious of what you're doing. Yeah, like I said, the identity is looking for fulfillment, so it's going to be a little bit more superficial things in general. But don't be reckless. Okay, and I think you guys know exactly what I mean by this. Everyone who's watching my videos for the most part has experienced some consequence of Rahu. Okay, so just be smart about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay, and if you're sensing any sort of bad outcome, or like maybe this is really not a good idea, please do not do it. Okay, but that doesn't mean necessarily that Sun is in Leo, right? So you're gonna need to do some stuff. Okay, so I'll give you an example. You can go to the gym, right, for fulfillment and stuff like this. Let's just say, you want to work out your arms more. I'm just giving you some example, right? Get your biceps nice and big. Don't do something crazy like lift a humongous weight to so that everyone at the gym can look at you, okay? Or let's just say you want to date someone, right? That's fine, but now don't go after all their friends and use that Rahu energy to try and say, hey, you know what? Someone wants me. Let me see if everybody else wants me too. You see what I'm saying? So just be very, very careful about that. Okay, so I covered the Sun in Leo, covered Mars and Rahu's aspects. Now, before I get to that Mercury piece, I want to just touch real quick on Venus, okay? So Venus, the second half of this transit, Venus is with Sun, okay? This is pretty good because Venus, like I said, it can go two ways, Venus here, okay? Because Venus doesn't, I'll just say right now, it can go two ways, okay? The first way is that you kind of detach from the Rahu and Martian energies and you really learn to love what you're doing, right? Like, for example, if you form a new relation or something like this, and this is only if, like, let's just say you're already talking to someone or something like this, right? Don't just blindly think just because I'm saying this, oh yeah, maybe I should find someone and rush into things. It's not what I'm saying. But let's just say you are talking to someone or something like this. The positive way Venus can go is it can have you enjoy their companionship and just enjoy the general things that you do, while Sun's in Leo a lot more. Okay, this is why Venus is one of Venus's nakshatra is in Leo. Okay, but the other way this can go is because Sun is with Venus, and because these two aspects are thrown onto Sun with Venus in Leo, don't get yourself in any more trouble, okay? Don't try to overly enjoy or overly pursue with Venetian things because that can get you in trouble. But if you detach from that Rahu and Martian kind of stuff, you can use that Venus to really cause the Sun to enjoy a little bit more, okay? This is one of those things where you kind of got to do, this is not really a clear black and white thing, okay? Depending on how much work you do, that depends on whether the Venus is going to help or hurt you in this certain transit or situation, okay? Now, my almost favorite part of the video, the Mercury going through Leo, okay? So I just said, Mercury in the Sun in the Western system is the most important sign, most important planet, and Mercury in the Western system gets debilitated in Leo because it's 12th from its own Mutrikona and exaltation sign, okay? In the Vedic system, Mercury gets debilitated in the 12th sign of Pisces, okay? So it doesn't like 12th energies in general, okay? Now, why does it affect the Sun when it just has gone through its own sign? Well, I gave that example at the beginning about, if I'm a homeowner and I come home and I can sense, the house is a little bit dirty, it's not taken care of, there's all kinds of stuff everywhere. It's going to make me not that happy, right? So Mercury, the reason why it gets debilitated in Leo in the Western system, or like it's not its favorite sign, is because, Mercury is a rational intelligence, right? So the rational intelligence can never be fulfilled, right? It's always going to be like on the hunt for something else. They're always going to be thinking. You can never really fulfill the rational intelligence fully, okay? So the rational intelligence had just gone through the fulfillment sign of Leo, okay? So it was not really doing too well there. Now the Sun just comes into Leo, okay? So what we can do here is, and here's where, a lot of the most spiritual people, they have the most debilitated planets in their chart, okay? Even though debilitation directly is the opposite of the spiritually best placement. But just in the long term, you can learn a lot from that debilitated energies, okay? Same thing here. Mercury just went through Leo. So you learn that fulfillment kind of is a never-ending quest when it comes to the Sun or the identity of who we think we are. So we can use that energies, especially because Rahu and Mars are aspecting Leo, we can use that learning period, okay, to kind of see and especially because Rahu was already throwing an aspect onto Leo while Mercury was transiting through Leo, right? So we can use that as a learning period, that when Sun goes through Leo, we understand that, hey, you know what? There's a limit to how much fulfillment I can get. Like, I'm never gonna keep getting fulfillment like nonstop, like more and more and more. Okay, like I'm taking more and more of a drug. Okay, eventually there's gonna be waves of ups and downs. Yeah, I'm gonna be able to be a little bit more fulfilled at a general sense because Sun is there, but just understand that there's a limit to this. Okay, and that's what we learned while Mercury was through Leo, and now that Sun is there, I can kind of learn from those energies. Okay, or yeah, it's kind of like you can imagine Leo as like a situation, right? Mercury went through that situation, so it learned, and that situation is kind of spiritually inside of us. So now that Sun is kind of in that same energy space, and spiritually, I guess you can say that intuition is still kind of stored in Leo when Mercury went through. The Sun can kind of learn through that, okay? Especially because Rahu is aspecting Leo as well. We can say, hey, you know what? Rahu's trying to convince us to get more and more and more. Mars is frustrated to kind of expand. We need to say, hey, you know what? There's a limit to this. Let's just fulfill as much as our karma says we should, or as much as we intuitively sense is a righteous amount. But then after that, let's cool it, okay? And because, especially when Venus joins in, we can learn to enjoy, but let's not get too overly attached to that enjoyment that comes with the fulfillment. Let's just, like I said, just keep our distance, okay? That's kind of the main name of the game here, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video of mine, especially the Mercury going through Leo before Sun gets there. Okay, most people are probably not gonna touch on that point when it comes to this transit, but I did, and hopefully that made sense to you. Okay, so as usual, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. And until next time, talk to you guys later. Thank you very much for watching.